Let's go back to WCW a minute. Did you work on that creative committee?
Yeah.
Was Jim Cornette on it?
Yes, he was.
Was Eddie Gilbert on it?
For some reason, he'd be in and out.
Yeah. What do you remember about those? Anything stand out?
Yeah.
Who was the head of that?
Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Problem was they had Eddie Gilbert had so much heat with Rick.
About what you think?
Well, it was about, from what I could gather, the first time they went into the Superdome for that show, Eddie Gilbert tore Rick's name off a door for his own private dress room.
Mm-hmm.
The trash.
Yeah. And Rick got hot about that.
Yeah, big time.
So following that, that's when they all ended up in Atlanta. Right. And Rick was the head of it. And Eddie wasn't welcome there, more or less.
Yeah, he wasn't. Eddie was always looking for something. You know, it was like he wanted to turn over a boulder and find a pot of gold.
When I met Eddie, he had two heroes in the wrestling business. One was Terry Funk, and one was Jerry Lawler. That was his heroes. I would watch him night after night on some of these spot shows, and one night he would be Funk. He was all Funk. He'd do all Funk stuff. Then the next night, he'd be Lawler, do all Lawler stuff. I used to ask him in the dressing room, I said, "Who are you going to be tonight, Eddie?" "I don't know. I hadn't made my mind up yet." Then he would go to the ring. And he's right. He was looking for something. He wanted to be a big name in the wrestling business. And I don't blame him for that. Because if you don't think you're number one or you got the talent to be there, you shouldn't be there. You should think I got just as much talent as the next guy, and blame it on creative or blame it on something. Never blame it on yourself, of course. But if you don't think that you belong to be there, you need to get out and do something else. But he grew up, of course, his daddy was a wrestler and his brother was a wrestler. So he had it in his blood, but it just never materialized. It never materialized for him. So, but I knew he kind of had heat with Rick, but I never knew what. I thought it would be over more than just tearing a name off a door. Did he tear the name off the door in the Omni in Atlanta?
So he was in New Orleans. He tore it off.
That's right, Superdome.
Yeah, he just ripped it off. And he did some comments after it. You know, he pushed it too far. I mean, it never should have gotten that way. Because Eddie, hey, he had a good mind for the business. But
let me add something to that. Eddie had a good mind for the business, but he never was able to turn it off. It's like you flip the light on. Yeah. The light stays on all night and all day. And pretty soon that bulb burns out. I think he didn't have any downtime that he wasn't thinking about pro wrestling, and it will burn you out if you keep thinking like that. So, and like I said, his daddy was a big star in Memphis, but what I'm saying, doing the creative meetings, did Eddie speak up?
He knew how to sell something. You've been around where I can really sell something. But 3/4 through the sell job, you start to see holes because someone brings something up. And you say, "Oh, I can see where this could end up in a bad gig." And it just got to be, you say to yourself, he took it personally when you disagreed with him.
Mm-hmm.
He took it real personal.
So did Eddie ever say anything like publicly about Flair?
Yeah, he would say things. I hope I'm not speaking ill of the dead because he was a very smart guy.
Uh-huh.
He would say stuff like, "Oh man, I wouldn't have done it that way if it flopped." You know what I mean? He would have put himself over. In other words, he was a complex guy. He was a complex guy. Did you find him complex in Puerto Rico?
Did I what?
Find him complex in Puerto Rico.
He was bothered. Let me say that. He lived with me. We all had a condo, but Eddie at that time, I didn't really think about it. But Eddie had a problem with pills, and I didn't find out till later that if somebody has a problem with pills, Puerto Rico is the last place you need to bring them, because you could walk down to the drugstore and get all kind of pills without a prescription. They would just fill them. You say, "Hey, give me, I don't know, 50 Vicodins." Okay, here you go. Give me $12. Okay. The drug dealers hated them because they were dispensing those drugs. I mean, but Eddie was just, he would get on them. And I've seen him sometimes. He said he had pain left over from his car wreck he had up wherever he had the car wreck up north around Boston or New York. And I understood that, but he took those pills and he abused them when I think he didn't need them. But hey, it's not up to me to tell him you're taking too many. Yeah. But so anyway, I found Eddie. And Eddie quit on me down there. This is not a discourse about Eddie Gilbert. I brought him in because he had burned his bridge in Memphis because Lawler got tired of, he knew that he know how he would do. He would come in and stay a while. He'd just leave without a notice. Then he went to Smoky Mountain and then called me and wanted a job because I was getting ready to leave anyway. That's another time. I brought him in and he just left Jimmy without a notice either.